Hey, Cootie, come here, give me that arm.
You just wanted to wear gray like me, huh?
I mean, that's what you were doing, and I did it too.
I inspire a generation of people.
Stop picking your nose.
I'm scratching my mustache. You scratch yours.
I don't have one.
You love me like yeah. You love me like no. You love me like oh, oh, oh. You love me like yeah. You love me like no.
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. It's
Dre
Bre, and you're watching Worth the Wait.
What we're talking about today is how to keep a healthy, happy, strong relationship.
Yes, Lord.
So you're already in a relationship. We always know how that honeymoon phase go. Everything always seemed good in the beginning, but it's how to keep that relationship healthy and strong for the long term.
Yes.
Now, I think there's one thing. If you keep this one thing in mind, then everything will be good and it will go good and it will be good.
Wow.
So if you want to have a healthy, strong relationship and you want to keep a healthy, strong relationship, the one thing that you need to remember to keep in mind is that as long as each of you are thinking about the other person, then your relationship will be fine. The issue happens when people start thinking about themselves in the relationship. That's when everything or all hell breaks loose, in a sense.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say about that is I don't want you guys to get this confused with basically putting the other person over your own self, especially in like the beginning phases of a relationship. What Dre's talking about is like with us, for example, like we are engaged to marry. We are in a long-term relationship, and he's saying as long as I put him first and he puts me first in thought and in action, that you'll be good. Now, there's people that are in relationships right now that maybe aren't even healthy. So if you're not in a healthy relationship, it doesn't mean for you to continue to put that person before you or make choices that are just good for them but not good for you. It means if you're already in a healthy relationship, that's what you should be doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but that's why it's unhealthy. Think about it. If you're doing stuff for the other person and you're putting them first and they're not putting you first, to get to my point, that's when issues happen.
I more mean in a space of like for example, if your health is really important, if you're putting someone else first or thinking of someone else, you're doing something for someone else and it's taking away from what you're supposed to be doing for yourself. So if you're not going to the gym because your man wants to spend time with you, or if you're staying up all night long and not doing what you need to do the next day because he wants to spend time with you, like that's not healthy.
But that leads to my point. If he was thinking about you, he knows what you're trying to accomplish. He knows what you're trying to do. So he wouldn't do that to you if he knows the goals you're trying to reach.
But that's a relationship.
So, and that leads to my point in saying that if people are thinking about themselves, even if it's one person thinking about themselves, then the relationship won't work. If both people are thinking about the other person in the relationship, then you won't have the issues that you have. That's how you keep the strong, healthy relationship. And it's difficult because naturally as humans, self-preservation is the number one thing that we always think about. Like you think about yourself, if you're going through something or you're hurt by something, you want to preserve yourself and who you are and protect your own self and your own emotions, your own physical body. But if you take the approach, and like Bre said, it's not to the point to where you're like doing something crazily like unhealthy for yourself in order to do something for somebody else. But if you always keep that other person in mind and they always keep you in mind, then a lot of times things will be fine. The only time, a lot of times that where we have issues in our relationship is because the thoughts become a little more selfish. Mm-hmm. If you watched in our last video how we said we got into it about the house stuff and things like that, and how we goal set and said we wanted to buy a house in cash. Like Bre said that, at that point I was focused on what I wanted and what I felt like I needed in that moment. And then that's where we had issues because at that moment she was thinking about at just like what she wanted in that point. And there's been times that I've been there and I've been like, thinking about just what I want or what I feel should happen. And then that's when the issues tend to occur. But as long as we're thinking about each other first, if I'm going into something thinking about how she may feel about it, or how it's going to affect her, or how her emotions may come out, once this thing is done, and she's looking at it the same way, then we normally don't have issues when that happens.
Yeah.
When you get cheated on, it's like somebody's being selfish. They're thinking about themselves. They're thinking about their own emotions, their own feelings. When people feel like, they're growing distant, or people have financial issues in a relationship, and this person did this with the money, or that person, a lot of times it's thinking selfishly, or even the person not who did something with the money, or someone who doesn't want to do something with the money, they're maybe thinking more selfish, or maybe thinking about themselves. But if you think about one another at all times, then your relationship will be good, because then you don't feel like you need to self-validate yourself, because your partner's already doing that for you.
Yeah.
If your partner's telling you you're beautiful all the time, like, you don't feel like if you're getting that all the time from them, you don't feel like you need to get that from somewhere else or something else or anything like that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you would say as far as keeping strong, healthy relationship?
I think it just boils down to what we always say too, that communication is key.
Yeah.
Because if the only way to know that if that's not happening from another person, or to communicate if that is or isn't happening, the thinking of the other person, is to really communicate. Because sometimes people can be, when you're being selfish, you're all about you, and so until someone says something to you, you just don't know or don't realize that you're doing it. Because if it's something that you're used to doing, or that feels natural to you, you may not realize. And I think that sometimes people quickly end relationships just because of momentary things, like something that maybe could have been worked out and that could have been communicated and whatnot. So I would say that communicating is just as important, because in order to know if there's something up, a lot of times why people do end up cheating is because something is off in the relationship, and instead of saying something about it, they react on it, and then they feel that they can validate it through the lack of whatever the person wasn't doing, but it was never communicated to them. So how can somebody go about fixing or being a part of a healthy relationship if you're not doing the simple thing of communicating? So
yeah, I agree with that. She made a good point. There's a lot of people who, if you'll understand that no matter how much you think you're alike, whoever you're with, you're two different people. Like, you're two people. Like, you do things differently, you think about things differently. And she's had friends, and I've had friends who do things that seem selfish, or do things that seem like maybe, I don't know, cynical or whatever, or seem malicious. But really, sometimes those people just don't know it, or they don't understand how what they're doing is actually coming off. So it's like sometimes you have to explain it to them, in love, and communicate that to them, because as you said, sometimes people just don't know.
Yeah, it's not intentional.
It's not an intentional thing. So communication is definitely a huge part of keeping a healthy, strong relationship. But even in the base of that, if you're always keeping that other person in mind, if you're communicating and you yelling like, yo, B, you effing whatever, and call them out their name and saying all this derogatory and vulgar things, you're not thinking about that person. You say you love that person, but you're tearing them down. You're saying things that's going to be hard to take back. Even when you communicate, you have to think about the other person. How will they receive this? Every person is not the same. You have to look at that person and say, all right, if I say it like this, even though I wouldn't react this way if somebody said it to me, this is how she or he would react if I said it this way. So let me think about how I do this, or let me say this in this way, or let me wait a little bit for Bre. Sometimes let me buy her food first and then talk about it over a meal, so she's in a good mood.
It works every time. It really does. I light up.
So it's that's me thinking about her. It's I need to communicate something, but I need to think about her in the process of me communicating. I need to make sure that I'm taking into account her feelings and how she may take these things, especially if it's something that she was anticipating or waiting for, and I'm breaking it to her we can't do this right now. So
And for me, when I want to communicate something with Dre, I have to like write it down, all the details, how much it costs, why it makes sense, and present it like it's a report. Like, look at this, sir. Let me know if it makes sense.
And she's thinking about me when she's doing that, even though it may be something against what I may want to do. She's still thinking of me. So it's value in, even if something isn't necessarily what you wanted, you can appreciate the way that somebody brought it to you or communicated it to you. And you know that they understand, like, you know, like what your motive was.
Yeah.
Even when we did the house or looking for a new apartment, I did this whole plan and stuff like that. And she was upset because she wanted a house, but she still said, like, I appreciate you, like, taking the time to lay out this plan and do this. I'm not mad at you. I'm just upset at the situation. That she's thinking about me, because, you know, imagine if she just got upset and I did this thing that I thought what she wanted and she just didn't say nothing to me. Then it's just like, dang, like, I feel like I did this for you or to help you, and you just like left me out here hanging. But for her to keep me in mind, even though she was upset, she took the time to say, you know what, I thank you. I appreciate you doing this for me. I understand why you did it. I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the situation. So as long as you keep the other person in mind, keep them first, then your relationship will be good. But it has to be a two-way road, as we know. If one person is doing that and the other person is not, it's always going to be issues. Both people have to always be thinking about each other and keeping each other first, and then everything will be fine. You don't have to worry about taking the trash out or like doing that. Like, she will see the trash getting full and she'll just pull it out, even though that's my responsibility. Like, she's thinking of me and the things I have to do, and I'll do things that she normally does if I see she's busy. As long as you think about the other person, things will be great. When you start thinking about yourself and the other person start thinking about themselves, that's when the issues will start to happen and occur.
How long have we been together?
This is going on till May 2017. So it's going
It'll
on
be 3 years.
Yeah.
So I just want to put this out there that this isn't like bogus information or just something that we're like, what sounds good. We've been together almost 3 years, and literally we have had I can count on one hand how many times we've had like an argument or like a fight. We honestly just had our first real like fight. It wasn't even a fight because we didn't fight. We just didn't talk for like 48 hours, which is like the longest that we've ever gone without talking to each other. And when I'm hearing Dre talk and I'm just listening, it's like, I've never been in such a great relationship. And I want you guys to understand that this is not like stuff that we're pulling out of our butt. It's stuff that were the fundamentals of our relationship from the very beginning. And it works like crazy because we are best friends. We do this stuff. And even though some of it's hard, especially more so for me. So if you're the Bre in the relationship that has like a lot of like past bad relationships and trust issues and like personal attitude issues, it's hard, but it's so worth it, because I just look back at like old relationships and be like, how in the world did I have enough energy to deal with all the crap that I was dealing with? And when you don't deal with the crap and you really say, this is what I want, and if this is what I want, this is what it takes to get it, you're going to be so happy. And so find somebody who wants to have real happy, healthy love too, because they'll be willing to put in the work, and you'll know, like you will know. So just wanted to put that out there.
It was very nice of you.
Thanks.
I love you.
I love you too. We're so good at this.
Yeah, so as I said, like I said, the one thing to remember, just always think of that other person. Keep them first. They keep you first. Everything will be good. When you get in trouble, it's when you start thinking about yourself.
Yes. So make sure you guys comment below. Let us know if this was helpful. Let us know if you have any tips to share, or if you have questions or anything that you want us to talk about upcoming. Make sure you follow us at
It's Dre Smith,
Brianna Ponte, and we're The Weights.
Peace.